Hi everyone, my name is Shivali. Welcome to the Australia Plus Learn English page. We're coming to you live from Melbourne, and today we're going to be talking about phrasal verbs. Now, what are phrasal verbs? Why are they so confusing? And how can we use them correctly in a sentence? These are some of the questions we're going to look at today. So do join us. And if you're on Facebook, we invite all of you to join us for this lesson. And we would love to hear from you. Send us a question or a comment. We would really want to have all your views and have you all get in touch with us. So do stay with us. Now, remember, if we don't get to your question, we will be around on Facebook after the lesson to have a chat with all of you. Okay, so let's get started. What are phrasal verbs? Now, phrasal verbs consist of a verb followed by a preposition. For example, bring up, hang out, take off. These are some examples of phrasal verbs. Now, what is so confusing is the fact that phrasal verbs consist of two or more words, and the words on their own have different meanings. So bring and up have their own meanings, but when we bring them together, they have another meaning, and they take on a whole different meaning, and that's when it can get tricky for us. So for example, bring is to take something from one place to another, and up is moving something above. But when we talk about bring up, it can mean to bring up a child, which means to raise a child. So that's one thing about phrasal verbs you should be aware of. Also, phrasal verbs have a number of different meanings when they're used in different situations. So there's no pattern to the meanings these phrasal verbs take, and you can't really guess the meaning when you look at the phrasal verb, so you really have to learn them. So one good tip is to use a dictionary. Whenever you come across a phrasal verb that you're not sure of, look it up in the dictionary and learn the meaning. Now, coming back to bring up, I'm going to show you a video about the phrasal verb bring up. Let's watch this video to find out more.
To bring up a child is to look after it until it has grown up.
This is finger, not fish.
To bring something up means to talk about it. Please don't bring up politics at the dinner party. Bring up can also mean to vomit. Going out on a boat can make you bring up your lunch.
So I hope that was useful. As you can see, we were discussing earlier that a phrasal verb can have different meanings and can be used in different situations. So bring up was a good example there. Now, another thing you should know about phrasal verbs is that it's more commonly used when we're actually speaking. So in formal writing, instead of saying bring up, we would say raise. But when we're speaking, we could say bring up instead of raise. Okay, so remember, when it's formal writing, we would use raise instead of bring up, but in informal writing or informal speech, we would be more likely to use phrasal verbs like bring up instead of saying raise. Also, remember, it can be challenging to learn phrasal verbs because there's so many of them, but not to worry. It takes a bit of time, but you can do it. Okay, here are some tips that can help you. One way is to actually listen very carefully when people are using the phrasal verbs to understand the meaning and find out how they're being used. Another way is to try and learn phrasal verbs in groups. So for example, you can learn phrasal verbs that have the word hang in them. And as you do this, you'll be able to understand the meaning and also understand the usage of phrasal verbs. Now, speaking of hang, I've got another video for you coming up, and let's watch this video to learn phrasal verbs that have the word hang in them and find out more.
Hang up hang out and hang on. You hang out the washing. And you hang out with friends. You hang up your clothes. And hang up things like tools. To end a phone call is to hang up. Hang on can mean to wait. Hang on a minute. And hang on means to hold something tightly. You have to hang on to the rope.
Let that bottom slide forward. Perfect, yeah.
Now on Facebook we actually asked all of you what is the meaning of the phrasal verb hang out. Now if you were watching that video you would have found the answer in that video. So hang out basically means to spend time with people. So we've got a good example here from Kevin Rao from India. He's from our Learn English community. Thanks for this, Kevin. Kevin says his example is, I like to hang out with my friend. Now that's a really good example of how you can use the phrasal verb hang out. So well done, Kevin. I've got another question here from Farhad Kulazidi from Azerbaijan. And Farhad says, she always hang out at phone. Is that correct? Now, not quite, Farhad. If you want to say that correctly, you should say she is always on the phone. Or someone could tell her, I'm on another call. Can you hang on the phone for a minute, please? Now, notice in this case, I've worked in a phrasal verb, hang on. And hang on can mean to wait for a short period of time. So I hope that answers your question, Farhad. We've also got another question here from Abdi Nazir Elmi Gamayo from Somalia. Abdi Nazir says, I want to learn more about give up and give in. Oh, that's a good question, Abdi Nazir. These are actually very commonly used phrasal verbs. So let's take a look. To give up can mean to stop trying. To give up can also mean to expect someone or something to fail. And to give in can mean to actually agree to something in order to avoid an argument. So I hope that answers your question, Abdi Nazir. Thank you all for all your questions. If we've not gotten to any of them during this broadcast, don't worry, we'll be around after to answer your questions. But great questions. Thank you very much, guys. Now, we've actually come to the end of the lesson for today. So hope you had a good time. Remember, we've got more articles and videos about phrasal verbs on our website. It's australiaplus.com/learnenglish. You can also join us on Facebook and Twitter and practice your English with us. Remember, when it comes to phrasal verbs, use a good dictionary. Try and understand the meaning of how the phrasal verb is used and in what context, and never give up. So thank you so much for watching, and thanks for your company. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.